Vaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 4, Transcendental Knowledge, text 13 onwards. So previous verses, Krishna talked about him, what his worship, and then last verse he talked about worshipping of demigods. Because those who want fruitive results, they worship the demigods. But Krishna says, but even those results which demigods give come from me. Now he is going to talk about the society of human beings, that they should live properly in Varnashram system, and in the end, the purpose of Varnashram system is spiritual progress, and so they can make proper progress instead of getting stuck here or there. So about Varnashram system, Krishna says, Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam gunakarma vibhagasha tasya kartaram api mam vidhya kartaram avyayam. According to the three modes of material nature and the work associated with them, the four divisions of human society are created by me. And although I am the creator of this system, you should know that I am yet the non doer, being unchangeable. Krishna does not come under this four varnas and four ashrams. And he is a non doer. He is a creator, but he does not come under this. And the system that he has created, Varnashram system, is based on material nature and the work associated with it. Means gun and karma. It's not based on birth. Based on birth is caste system that is currently prevalent in India. Varnashram system, which was scientific, which was Sanatan, which was created by Krishna, that is based on the quality and the work that one does. So in the Purport, Prabhupada writes, the Lord is the creator of everything. Everything is born of him. Everything is sustained by him, and everything after annihilation rests in him. He is therefore the creation of the four divisions of the social order, beginning with the intelligent class of men, technically called Brahmins, due to their being situated in the mode of goodness. Next is the administrative class, technically called the Kshatriyas, due to their being situated in the mode of passion. The mercantile men, called the Vaishyas, are situated in the mixed mode of passion and ignorance. And the Shudras, or laborer class, are situated in the ignorant mode of material nature. So those who are in the mode of ignorance are called Shudras. And Shudras, in second chapter, where Krishna is telling Arjun, Kshudram Hriday Dorbalyam Tyakto Tishta Parantapa. See, you give up this petty weakness of heart and get up and fight. So there Prabhupada is explaining Shudra means, yes, mode of ignorance, but also one who unnecessarily he laments. He keeps on crying. I don't have this, I don't have that. So that is a Shudra quality. Well, the why we are saying that is, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said in Kali Yuga, pretty much everybody is a Shudra actually. Of course, there are other qualities of Shudras by which we can recognize who are Shudras and how come we are compared to Shudras. But this is the quality in Kali Yuga, more prevalent. And Prabhupada says, in spite of his creating the four divisions of human society, Lord Krishna does not belong to any of these divisions because he is not one of the conditioned souls, a section of whom form human society. Human society is similar to any other animal society, but to elevate men from the animal status, the above mentioned divisions are created by the Lord for the systematic development of Krishna consciousness. So the idea is a systematic development. Even a Shudra, if he is working in his position and capability properly, at the same time he will be mentally at peace, he'll be satisfied, and he can make progress spiritually also. It's not like that spiritual progress is only the birthright of Brahmins. No, a Shudra can also make progress. It's not a problem. That's why the whole system is designed like that. But the problem is this day and age is everybody is there's so much of fighting and so much of bickering, and everybody is trying to get to somehow make money, and nobody is trying to look after the proper social system. That's where the spiritual development has taken a back seat right now. But in earlier days, even a Shudra could make perfect progress in the path of spirituality. A person in Krishna consciousness, however, is above even the Brahmins. All the Brahmins, by quality, are supposed to know about Brahman, the supreme absolute truth. Most of them approach only the impersonal Brahman manifestation of Lord Krishna. But a man who transcends the limited knowledge of a Brahman and reaches the knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, becomes a person in Krishna consciousness, or in other words, a Vaishnava. But Prabhupada is saying a Vaishnava is even beyond Brahman. A Vaishnava could be from previous Varnashram system, he could be a Shudra. But if he is serving Krishna, then he is a Vaishnava. And Vaishnava is above Brahmins, technically. Of course, the person who is Shudra, he will still think I'm a Shudra, because the Vaishnava, one of the quality of a Vaishnava is humility. They don't think they are above anybody. Just like today I was reading somewhere, the Prabhupada, uh, I believe it was in Paris, he was sitting and giving lecture, and he was discussing this Varnashram system only. So students there, he was among the students, and the students started to make noise, and they were a little angry. And Prabhupada stopped the lecture. He said, "Why? What's wrong? What's the point? Why are you angry?" So they were saying, "So you think you are even better than first class men because you are sitting on a big asan here, big Vyasasan, big chair, and we all are sitting on the floor? What is this?" Then Prabhupada, out of his humility, he said, "No, no, no, I'm not better than first class man. I'm actually a fifth class man. I'm even lower than all of you. I'm a servant of all of you." So that's when the commotion stopped, and the devotee was saying Prabhupada was very serious when he said that. He wasn't just joking around, and he wasn't making it up. He was really serious that he's a servant of everybody. And that was the humility of Srila Prabhupada. Text 14, then Krishna talks about himself now. Namam karmani limpanti name karma phale spriha iti mam yo abhijanati karmbhirna sabadhyate. There is no work that affects me, nor do I aspire for the fruits of action. One who understands this truth about me also does not become entangled in the fruitive reactions of work. So Krishna is saying he does not come under these four categories, and no work is that affects him, because he does not come here as a result of his karmic reaction. He does not take birth for that. He appears to perform some pastimes. There's a huge difference. As there are constitutional laws in the material world stating that the king can do no wrong, or that the king is not subject to the state laws, similarly, the Lord, although he is a creator of this material world, is not affected by the activities of the material world. So he's not at all affected by the activities. He creates and remains aloof from the creation, whereas the living entities are entangled in the fruitive results of material activities because of their propensity for lording it over material resources. So we become entangled in the fruitive results of material activities because we want the reactions, fruits of our activities. And that's why we get stuck. Whether we do good activities or bad activities, we get good reaction or bad reaction. No matter what we get, we are stuck. Whether so to get the results of our pious activities means the good results, we have to take birth again. And similarly, the bad activities, the sins. The proprietor of an establishment is not responsible for the right and wrong activities of the workers, but the workers are themselves responsible. The living entities are engaged in their respective activities of sense gratification, and these activities are not ordained by the Lord, because this is our doing. For advancement of sense gratification, the living entities are engaged in the work of this world, and they aspire to heavenly happiness after death. The Lord, being full in himself, has no attraction for so called heavenly happiness. So he has no attraction because for him, heaven is nothing. The heavenly demigods are only his engaged servants. The proprietor never desires a low grade happiness such as the workers may desire. He is aloof from the material actions and reactions. So this is the position of Krishna. So in the end of the Prabhupada writes, one who does not know the transcendental nature of the Lord and who thinks that the activities of the Lord are aimed at fruitive results, as are the activities of the ordinary living entities, certainly becomes entangled himself in fruitive reactions. But one who knows the supreme truth is liberated soul fixed in Krishna consciousness. So this is another thing that we have to know, that just like Krishna said in ninth verse of this chapter, Janma karma chame divyam evam yuveti tatvata. All my activities and appearance, they all divya, transcendental. Well, just one who knows in truth, he does not take birth again. So similarly, he's talking here. One who knows about the uh, reality of my activities, he does not get entangled in the fruitive reactions. So what happens to him? Evam gyatva kritam karma purvarapi mumukshubhi kuru karma tasmatvam purva purvataram kritam. All liberated souls in ancient times acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. Therefore, you should perform your duty following in their footsteps. So he is telling Arjun that you should perform your duty following in their footsteps. Whose? Liberated souls. So those liberated souls, they acted, they didn't run away from their activity. They acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. So understand my position and then you act. Purport. There are two classes of men. Some of them are full of polluted material things within their hearts, and some of them are materially free. Krishna consciousness is equally beneficial for both of these persons. Those who are full of dirty things can take to the line of Krishna consciousness for a gradual cleansing process, following the regulated principles of devotional service. Those who are already cleansed of the impurities may continue to act in the same Krishna consciousness, so the others may follow the exemplary activities and thereby be benefited. So it's for everybody. This bhakti process, bhakti yoga, Krishna consciousness activities, it's for everybody. For beginners, take up the process and they purify themselves. For those who are advanced or liberated already, they also act in this process. Uh, they take up the process so the people can follow them. Arjun's desire to retire from activities on the battlefield was not approved by the Lord. One need only know how to act. To retire from the activities of Krishna consciousness and to sit aloof, making a show of Krishna consciousness, is less important than actually engaging in the field of activities for the sake of Krishna. So, this is more important, to act. And the funny thing is, here Krishna is talking about karma or activities, and later on, many verses he talks about karma, and the chapter topic is transcendental knowledge. Again, Arjun will get confused towards the end. What is this? You were talking about knowledge, and then you're talking about karma. In the previous chapter, when the chapter topic was title was uh, action activity karma yoga, there Krishna talked about knowledge. That's where Arjun asked about, what is this? You're talking about knowledge and you're asking me to work. And now, when Krishna started explaining about knowledge, now he's coming to karma. Actual thing is, now it will be explained nicely in the 5th chapter, activities in Krishna consciousness or action in Krishna consciousness. Means knowledge is important for our consciousness, but we still have to do the activity. So the activities that are done while being Krishna conscious, those are the best activities. They're not separate from each other. Activity and knowledge. Knowledge takes us to proper consciousness to how to do activities properly. That's all. Arjun is here advised to act in Krishna consciousness, following in the footsteps of the Lord's previous disciples, such as the sun god Vivaswan, as mentioned herein before. So just see, sun god Vivaswan was the first person who got this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita from Krishna. After getting the knowledge, if he had stopped his activity, no, okay, Krishna, I got the knowledge, now I don't need to do activity, I'll just sit at one place and chant or meditate. And what would have happened to all of us? No sun, then what would have happened? So Bhagavad Gita does not teach us no activity. It teaches us all the activity. We have to do our activities, but properly, in the right consciousness. That's all. The Supreme Lord knows all his past activities as well as those of persons who acted in Krishna consciousness in the past. Therefore, he recommends the acts of the sun god who learned this art from the Lord some millions of years before. All such students of Lord Krishna are mentioned here as past liberated persons engaged in the discharge of duties allotted by Krishna. Text 16. Kim karmeti kavyo api yatra mohita tatte karma pravakshami yajgyatva mokshase ashubhat. Even the intelligent are bewildered in determining what is action and what is inaction. Now I shall explain to you what action is, knowing which you shall be liberated from all misfortune. So even the intelligent people are bewildered in determining what is action and what is inaction. Again, a karma does not mean no activity. A karma means activity which has no material reaction. To act in Krishna consciousness, one has to follow the leadership of authorized persons who are in the line of disciplic succession, as explained in the beginning of this chapter. The system of Krishna consciousness was first narrated to the sun god. Sun god explained it to his son Manu. Manu explained it to his son Ikshvaku, and the system is current on this earth from that very remote time. Therefore, one has to follow in the footsteps of previous authorities in the line of disciplic succession. Otherwise, even the most intelligent men will be bewildered regarding the standard actions of Krishna consciousness. For this reason, the Lord decided to instruct Arjun in Krishna consciousness directly. Because of the direct instruction of the Lord to Arjun, anyone who follows in the footsteps of Arjun is certainly not bewildered. It is said that one cannot ascertain the ways of religion simply by imperfect experimental knowledge. Actually, the principles of religion can only be laid down by the Lord Himself. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavad pranitam. No one can manufacture a religious principle by imperfect speculation. One must follow in the footsteps of great authorities. And then Prabhupada mentions all these 12 margins. So he's saying you have to follow these authorities and then do the activities properly. Text 17. Karmano hi api bodhavyam cha vikarmana, akarmanascha bodhavyam gahana karmano gatihi. The intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Therefore, one should know properly what action is, what forbidden action is, and what inaction is. So the intricacies of action are very, very hard to understand. Many times we get bewildered that why I am suffering for something which I haven't even done. So obviously, I mean, then we go to different pundits and astrologers and this and that. Why I'm suffering? So it's very simple for us to understand that somehow somebody got this malaria fever, suppose. So malaria is caused by bite of mosquitoes. Some particular mosquito, when bites, then one gets sick by malaria. So if one has malaria, he has to understand that he got bit by a mosquito. That's for sure. Now, when he got bit by mosquito, which mosquito bit him? Why did he bite him? Why did he bite him? Hardly matters. One can go and do all the inquiries and then maybe pay obeisances to that mosquito or kill that mosquito, whatever he wants to do. But that's hardly matters. What the conclusion is, we got malaria means we were bitten by mosquito at some point of time. So now what should be our duty? Okay, now the duty is to take the medicine, get okay, and remain in a clean place so we don't get bitten by the mosquito again. Simple as that. So that's why this intricacies of action are very, very hard to understand. We cannot find what action I did for which I'm getting the reaction of right now. What was the severity of my action? What was I mean, we can go on complaining to the rest of the world that I didn't do my activity wasn't that strong for which I'm getting the so much of terrible reaction. Who are we to decide? Krishna says, second chapter, Karmanya hivadikaraste mahaphaleshu kadachana. You have a right to do your duty, but you don't have a right on the result of your duties, result of your actions. So it all depends on Krishna. Well, Krishna himself doesn't directly interfere in everybody's karma. That's why he has different departments and different demigods are in charge of those departments to give us the reactions. That's all. And if they make a mistake, that is up to Krishna to decide. If one is serious about liberation from material bondage, one has to understand the distinctions between action, inaction, and unauthorized actions. One has to apply oneself to such an analysis of action, reaction, and perverted actions because it's very difficult subject matter. To understand Krishna consciousness and action according to its modes, one has to learn one's relationship with the Supreme. That is, one who has learned perfectly knows that every living entity is an eternal servitor of the Lord. And then consequently, one has to act in Krishna consciousness. The entire Bhagavad Gita is directed towards this conclusion. Any other conclusions against this consciousness and its attendant actions are vikarmas or prohibited actions. So vikarma is actions which are prohibited in the scriptures, means sinful activities. Actions are just karma, whatever action we do. And inaction is not no activity, but the activity for which we don't get material reaction. So basically yoga, especially bhakti yoga, but basically yoga. So those activities when we do, we don't get material reaction. We do get spiritual upliftment, a spiritual reaction, what we can say, but it's not a reaction. It's basically our progress. And just like yesterday we were discussing, when Krishna says, "Ye yatha mam prabandhe," and as one surrenders unto me, I reward him accordingly. So many times people say, "Oh, probably I didn't do that kind of action, and I'm getting more reaction. I didn't commit that sin, and I'm getting more punishment than I deserve." But when it comes to inaction or yoga, especially bhakti yoga, what is our activity and how much result we get from Krishna? The result is not in proportion to our activity, it's much more than that. So at that time we don't complain. I didn't do that much activity, but I'm getting so much of reaction, so much of reward from Krishna. That time we don't complain. So it's all up to Krishna actually. What he wants to give, how much he wants to give, when he wants to give, where he wants to give, how he wants to give. It's all up to him. Text 18. Karmanya karma yah pashed karmani cha karma yah sabuddhiman manusheshu sayukta krishna akarma krit. One who sees inaction in action and action in inaction is intelligent among men. Well, first of all, one who can read this properly, that's also intelligence. One who sees inaction in action and action in inaction is intelligent among men. And he is in the transcendental position, although engaged in all sorts of activities. That's a beautiful verse for all the devotees. One who sees action in inaction means, as I said, inaction doesn't mean no activity. Inaction is akarma, action is karma, and then there is sinful activity which is vikarma. So one who sees karma in akarma means in akarma also there is activity. It's not like without activity. We cannot serve Krishna without any activity. Activity is by our working senses, by our mind, by our knowledge acquiring senses. All the senses can act in the service of Krishna. So anybody who sees karma in akarma and akarma in karma, how? That's a major thing, right? So karma in akarma or karma in, suppose akarma we go with bhakti yoga only. So even in bhakti yoga one has to do activities. So one who sees, yes, I have to do activities even in bhakti yoga. That is Krishna saying he's an intelligent man. And then one who sees akarma in karma. So any activity like Arjun, after listening to whole Bhagavad Gita, he will pick up his Gandhi and start fighting. But was he doing karma or akarma? Was it karma or akarma? Actually, it was akarma because he was serving Krishna. He was fighting for the pleasure of Krishna. So it was akarma. But people can see it was doing activity. He was doing karma. But actually, it wasn't karma. It was akarma. So only intelligent person can see that. And also, it also depends upon our consciousness. That with what consciousness we are performing those activities. A person acting in Krishna consciousness is naturally free from the bonds of karma. His activities are all performed for Krishna. Therefore, he does not enjoy or suffer any of the effects of work. He does not enjoy or suffer any of the acts. Means next life. He does not have to take next life to even to come back and enjoy the pious activities or suffer for the sinful activities, because he is doing everything for Krishna. Consequently, he is intelligent in human society, even though he is engaged in all sorts of activities for Krishna. Akarma means without reaction to work. The impersonalist sees his fruitive activities out of fear, so that the resultant action may not be a stumbling block on the path of self realization. But the personalist knows rightly his position as the eternal servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, personalist, especially a bhakta, a devotee, he knows his position as the eternal servitor, Nitya Das, Jivera Swarupa, Krishnera Nitya Das. He's the eternal servitor of Krishna. Therefore, he engages himself in the activities of Krishna consciousness. Because everything is done for Krishna, he enjoys only transcendental happiness in the discharge of this service. Those who are engaged in this process are known to be without desire for personal sense gratification. The sense of internal servitorship, Krishna makes one immune to all sorts of reactionary elements of work. So this is the benefit of working in Krishna consciousness, that the person enjoys. Text 19. So today's last verse. Yasya sarve samarambha kam sankalpa varchita jnanagne dagda karmanam tamahu panditam buddha. One is understood to be in full knowledge, whose every endeavor is devoid of desire for sense gratification. He is said by sages to be a worker for whom the reactions of work have been burnt up by the fire of perfect knowledge. So, one is understood to be in full knowledge, whose every endeavor is devoid of desire for sense gratification. But the desires cannot be killed. So, some desires have to be there, but his desire is to engage in service of Krishna, to do everything for Krishna. So, then it is complete desirelessness. Only a person in full knowledge can understand the activities of a person in Krishna consciousness. Because the person in Krishna consciousness is devoid of all kinds of sense gratificatory propensities, it is to be understood that he has burnt up the reactions of his work by perfect knowledge of his constitutional position as the eternal servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is actually learned who has attained to such perfection of knowledge. Development of this knowledge of eternal servitorship to the Lord is compared to fire. Such a fire, once kindled, can burn up all kinds of reactions to work. To means action. So, so his desire is only to act in the service of Krishna. It's a person who is in full knowledge. So his only desire is to serve Krishna. But serving Krishna doesn't mean we become emotionless or we become rocks. Actually, we'll have more emotions when we are serving Krishna, because all the real emotions, real sentiments are going to come out. Bhakti cannot be done without emotions, without perfect sentiments. But those sentiments are for Krishna only. We don't become rock, we don't become stones in this yoga. So person, it's not that he does not enjoy, he does not have his senses gratified. Prabhupada has used this word again and again, it sounds like it's very sinful to gratify the senses. No. What actually it is, when we are serving Krishna, Krishna's name is Govinda. Govinda means one who gives pleasure to the senses. Whose senses? Well, his senses and the senses of the devotees. He has to give pleasure. So when we serve Krishna, we find more pleasure in those services than we would have found otherwise when we are trying to please ourselves. So the senses will be happy, senses will be completely gratified, completely pleased when one is serving Krishna. But that service has to be really topmost service. Like it is said, na ahatu kiya pratihata, without any motivation and without any interruption. The senses will be satisfied. For example, Prabhupada talks so much about six Goswamis. All the six Goswamis, they came from high parentage and uh, high families, they were rich. But when they came in contact with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they gave up everything and they moved to Braj. They were living in Braj under different tree every day because they didn't want to get attached to the tree also. And they would hardly sleep 1.5 hours. Even sometimes Prabhupada said that wasn't even possible. And they would hardly eat, but they were all happy, fully in bliss. It's like Raghunath Das Goswami. I think we discussed this point some other time. Raghunath Das Goswami, he would take every other day, he was living at Radhakund, he was chanting 64 rounds every day, and he was paying obeisances 1,000 times to the deities, different deities at Radhakund, and 2,000 times to Vaishnavas. Every day, he was paying obeisances. And then he was writing books, and every other day, for eating, what he would do, he wasn't eating like chappan bhog every day. Every other day, he would just take little buttermilk, and that too in a dona, whatever it will fit in that dona of a small leaf. And he was completely satisfied. He was completely happy. Although, if going by his life earlier, he was the son of a jamidar in Navdvip, and who were two brothers, and he was the only son of one brother. Other brother didn't have any kids. And their monthly income at that time, about 500 years ago, was 1 lakh gold coins every month. We can't even imagine how many gold coins, how much wealth it is. And he was the only proprietor, only heir to that, all the wealth that his father and his uncle, they were gathering. And he left everything. Means from today's calculation, he must be a billionaire, multi-billionaire at that time. And he left everything. And he was finding more pleasure in drinking one small dona of buttermilk every other day. He was completely satisfied. It's not like he was starving himself. He was completely satisfied because he was serving Krishna. He wasn't thinking that I'm lacking something. Oh, I'm not getting good food. Let me go back. I want to have paneer. If I don't get paneer, I'll go back. No, he didn't even think about that. And when he was in Jagannath Puri, when he arrived there um, first his father understood that this boy is not going to come back now. So he sent some servants and some money with the servants to be with Raghunath Das Goswami and just take care of him. And Raghunath Das Goswami was using that money to feed Vaishnavas and to feed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. After a while, actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had put Raghunath Das Goswami under the care of Swarup Damodar Goswami. So after a few days, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Swarup Damodar Goswami, how come I'm not getting any more invitations from Raghunath Das Goswami for lunch? Swarup Damodar Goswami said, well, he has sent those servants back to his father and he is not accepting any money from his father anymore. So Mahaprabhu, he was very happy. He said, this is a good decision by Raghunath Das Goswami. Then Mahaprabhu asked Swarup Damodar Goswami, then how is he maintaining himself? What is he eating? So Swarup Damodar Goswami said that Raghunath Das Goswami, now he goes outside Jagannath temple where all these big rich people come and they feed poor people with Jagannath Prasadam. So he stands in the line and he gets his food by begging. And Mahaprabhu was very happy. His happiness was, yes, this boy, Raghunath Das Goswami, is getting more and more surrendered. After a few days, Mahaprabhu again asked Swarup Damodar Goswami, how is Raghunath doing now? And Swarup Damodar Goswami said, well, he begged for food for a few days, but then he thought, because I stand in the line thinking that this Seth, this rich man, he gave me the food the other day, he'll also give me today. So he said he didn't like that idea. So how's he eating? What is he eating? Well, he goes where all the leftovers, wherever the leftovers are thrown in that pile. So he goes and collects the leftovers from there, leftover of food, and then he comes and eats. Mahaprabhu was more happy. He said, this boy is making more progress now. After a few days, he again asked Swarup Damodar Goswami, how's Raghunath Das doing now? Now Swarup Damodar Goswami said, now he said, even he doesn't go to that pile when the food is fresh because he thinks he's committing offense. So he goes because he thinks that this food actually belongs to the animals who have the first right to get the leftover food from Jagannath Prasadam. So now he goes when even all the animals have eaten and have refused to eat whatever is leftover prasadam. He collects that rice and he brings it to his place and he washes that rice and that's what he eats. Mahaprabhu was very happy. He wasn't happy that Raghunath Das Goswami is like doing so much of tapasya because he was happy with his renunciation and his surrender, his full surrender on Krishna, full dependence on Krishna. So Mahaprabhu then went to the hut of Raghunath Das Goswami. And Raghunath Das Goswami had that rice which was rotten, which animals even won't eat. He had that rice in his potli. And Mahaprabhu went and he grabbed that rice and he started eating. And Raghunath Das Goswami was, why are you eating this, Mahaprabhu? This is not for you. Mahaprabhu said, this is the best prasadam I've ever eaten. That was Mahaprabhu's words. So it's not like if in Krishna consciousness, apparently we don't get any facilities or sometimes we won't even get prasadam. It happens. But this doesn't mean we are not happy. A devotee is not happy. Devotee is always happy. Because his senses, they are not dependent upon all these material things to be fulfilled, to be gratified. His senses are completely taken care of by Krishna's mercy. But obviously, these stories, these examples are very nice for us to get inspiration from, but we cannot imitate these devotees. If anybody tries to imitate Raghunath Das Goswami or Haridas Thakur or the six Goswamis or any of the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he will die. Or he will even leave bhakti and go away. He will say, this is too much for me. But these are the stories for us to get motivated from, take inspiration from, that if I make progress, I will not be a loser. That's all it is. But we make progress gradually. We take our time, we make progress. And then in bhakti, there is no such thing as lamentation, there is no such thing as depression or frustration. We get frustrated because we are still in material modes. We are still in the material consciousness. That things are not happening the way I want. That's why the frustration is. Well, actually, knowing, that's what Krishna is saying. An intelligent person knows that things will happen whatever Krishna wants, not what I want. That's for sure. So there is no frustration, depression. It's only pleasure actually. And once some reporter, I think it was in Philadelphia, Prabhupada, he asked Prabhupada, what are your activities? What do you all do? And the Prabhupada was surrounded by many devotees at that time. And the reporter was asking, and Prabhupada said, well, we chant, we dance, and when we get tired, we take prasadam. That's all our activities. And all the devotees, they just went big with big Hari Bol. Yes, that's a perfect life of devotees. So it's all fun actually. But because we are not at that level yet to understand, to taste, to enjoy, and we still have plenty of material desires, material consciousness, so we get frustrated, we get depressed, we get sad when things don't go our way. But Krishna's mercy has given us enough taste that we come back. Okay. Because material world, again, how much sadness and how much frustration is there? Plenty. And there is no light at the end of the tunnel in material world anyway. But in spiritual life, there is plenty of light and plenty of association, plenty of things, plenty of activities which can give us pleasure. We'll just have to keep going with full faith in the words of Srila Prabhupada. Thank you all very much. So I'll stop here, see anybody has any questions or comments. Subha Prabhu, would you like to add anything?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. No
Hare
question.
Krishna.
Nothing. Thanks.
Not questions. I expect comments from you, expert comments from you.
No. That was just one off.
No. It was good discussion. That's all we had. Of course, Dipanshu Prabhu wanted more discussion, but he himself is missing today. So I guess if there's no question, then we can stop here. You all enjoy your Sunday, Father's Day, whatever you want to enjoy. But do remember, next Saturday is a big day, very big day. So please prepare for that. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.